were chasing after me. Before I knew that I was helpless, you had won the victory. Before I fell into the darkness, you were out to set me free. Before I knew that I was broken, you poured out your grace on me. You are everything, everything to me. You are everything, everything to me. You are the future in front of me. You're the fire inside my bones. And from now till eternity, you are all that I need, all that I need. Before I felt that I was worthless, you took up the cross for me. Before I knew I was an orphan, you have made me royalty. You are everything, everything to me. You are the future in front of me. You're the fire inside my bones. And from now till eternity, you are all that I need, all that I need. You are the light that's alive in me. You're the breath that fills my lungs. And from now till eternity, you are all that I need, all that I need. You are everything, everything to me. 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 You are the future in front of me. You're the fire inside my bones. And from now till eternity, you are all that I need, all that I need. You are the light that's alive in me. You're the breath that fills my lungs. And from now till eternity, you are all that I need, all that I need. You are all that I need, all that I need. You are all that I need, all that I need.
Stories of the Bible. Jonah. This is Jonah. Jonah was a prophet. That means it was his job to tell people what God told him to say.
Yep.
One day, God told Jonah to go to Nineveh because the people of Nineveh were doing bad things. But instead, Jonah ran away.
Where are you, please?
And went to the port to board a ship, going the other way. He was hoping to get away from God. He sailed for a place called Tarshish. While he was at sea, God sent a great and powerful wind over the sea that caused a storm that seemed like it would break the ship apart. Fearing for their lives, the sailors tried everything they could think of to save the ship. Meanwhile, Jonah was sound asleep. So the captain went down and said, "How can you sleep at a time like this? Get up and pray to your God. Maybe he will help us." Then the crew figured out that Jonah was the reason for the storm. And they asked him, "Who are you? Why is this happening to us?" Jonah told them who he was and that he worshiped the one true God who made the sea. Then he told the sailors to throw him in the sea so the storm would stop.
No, why?
The sailors still tried to escape the storm, but it was no use. So they asked God for forgiveness and threw Jonah into the sea. The storm stopped at once.
Whoa!
The sailors were amazed at God's power and they vowed to serve him. Now God sent a great fish to swallow Jonah.
Great.
And Jonah was inside the fish for 3 days and nights. Jonah prayed to God from inside the fish, and God ordered the fish to spit Jonah out.
Yuck.
God told Jonah again to go to the city of Nineveh to tell them what God had said about them.
I get it.
This time, Jonah obeyed God and went to Nineveh to deliver God's message. The people of Nineveh stopped doing bad things and turned to God. They were saved because they listened to the message that God had given Jonah.
Hey there everybody, my name's Jerry and I've got more opinions than I know what to do with. I've been a foodie all my life, so I figured, now's the time to start sharing some of my food knowledge. We all have foods that we think are great, so to help show you my favorites, I've created my very own rating scale. Here on Jerry Reviews Food, I will taste test all kinds of food and share with you what I think is the very best and worst of everything. Get it? Got it? Good. Now let's eat. Ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, there's no better treat on a hot day than an ice cream cone, and fortunately for me, almost every day is a hot day here in California. Ice cream has been my favorite dessert since I was a little kid, but something pretty devastating happened several years ago. Ben & Jerry's discontinued fossil fuel, my all-time favorite ice cream. I've been so upset that I've stayed away from the brand since, but for today's episode, I thought I'd give them another chance by trying 4 new flavors and ranking them from worst to best. But I've gotta say, I'm pretty hesitant. I'm not sure I could ever forgive Ben & Jerry, but I guess we'll see how this goes. So let's try the first one. This one is called Half Baked. Let's give it a try. A little bit of chocolate, a little bit of vanilla. Ooh, it's got cookie dough chunks. Let's see. You know what? This flavor mixes vanilla and chocolate ice cream with little bits of fudge and chocolate chip cookie dough, and that's a pretty great combo. Let's try the second one. The second one's called Chocolate Fudge Brownie. Maybe that'll satisfy my cravings, despite not having fossil fuel. Here we go. I think I like it better than that last one, but I'm afraid it's missing that little bit of magic that the fudge dinosaur brought to fossil fuel. For our third ice cream, I'll be trying chocolate chip cookie dough. It's kind of like a vanilla ice cream plus gobs of chocolate chip cookie dough, and it's somewhat of a classic. Am I right? Let's find out. Ooh, you see that giant cookie dough chunk? Chocolate chip cookie dough won't do anything to undo the hurt, I'm afraid. Okay, one last ice cream. I'm not feeling super optimistic here, folks. Fish food doesn't really sound the best, I'll be honest, but still, I guess it's worth trying. So here goes nothing. Ooh, you know what I just noticed? This one, kind of like fossil fuel, has little chocolate chunks shaped like an animal. This one's got fish for fish food. Let's try it. All right, I'm going for a big bite. Okay. Wow, fish food might be better than fossil fuel. This is amazing. You can probably guess what's coming in first, but we still have to rank all the other ice creams. In last place, I think I'm gonna have to rank, let's go with chocolate chip cookie dough. And you know what? In third place, I think I would probably put Half Baked. But in second place, I think I gotta give some credit to Chocolate Fudge Brownie. It might be missing that wow factor, but it's still super chocolatey and yummy, which is what I wanted. Now, of course, coming in first place is fish food. If fossil fuel had to be discontinued so that fish food could make its debut, then I think I have finally come to terms with the extinction of my favorite ice cream. It's been over 10 years, but it was time that I moved on anyways. I think today's episode really helped me see Ben & Jerry a little bit differently. I'll admit I didn't have the best attitude going into this since I was still recovering from the loss of my all-time favorite flavor, fossil fuel. But after the first bite of fish food, I had to do a serious vibe check. That stuff was delicious and totally turned my attitude around. Sometimes that's the way life goes. We hold on to things, including bad attitudes, for way too long. And when we do, we can miss out on some pretty great things. I think that's often the case when it comes to our walk with God. We think we know what's best for us, and we have a tendency to insist on that. We want things to go our way, the way that we want and when we want it. But that's not always God's plan. God sees everything so clearly and has only good plans. But we don't always see things this way. When things happen, we might want to ignore God or even disobey what He says, and we're not alone in that feeling. In fact, I would argue that nobody in the Bible resisted God's plan for their lives more than Jonah. God wanted Jonah to go to Nineveh, which was a pretty dangerous city. The people there were not following God and were making some pretty awful choices. God had a plan and chose Jonah to deliver the message, but Jonah wanted nothing to do with it. He literally ran in the opposite direction, jumping on a ship to get as far away from God's plan as he could. You might say Jonah threw a little bit of a temper tantrum. But God is bigger than any ocean and wants to help us through the times when we struggle to see and do the things He asks us. In Jonah's case, God sent a storm to get Jonah's attention. The people on the ship were terrified. Jonah confessed to the crew that it was his fault because he was running away from God. To save their own lives, Jonah insisted they throw Jonah overboard. Can you imagine? So God sent a huge fish to swallow Jonah whole. In the belly of that fish, Jonah had plenty of time to think about the foolishness of running away from God. After all, he was there for 3 days. He confessed his bad attitude and wrong choice to God and asked for forgiveness. He promised to do what God asked of him, and the fish then spit Jonah out of his mouth. Once he was on dry land, Jonah had a chance to change his attitude and do the right thing. Sometimes in life, there may be things that we don't really want to do, and it's only natural that we may have days where our attitudes, they're just plain bad. But what I want you to hear is that our attitude does not have to determine our actions. That means no matter how we feel about something, we can still choose to do what's right. Even if you feel angry or like something isn't fair, you can always do a vibe check and choose to turn that attitude around and obey. We saw this with Jonah. Friends, it's never too late to obey and follow God's plan. That's because God always loves us and can give us another chance to obey. If you have a bad attitude one day, well, you can choose to have a good attitude the next. Even if you've already sinned or disobeyed, you can always do an attitude check and choose to apologize and do the right thing the next time. Sometimes I wonder why I can be so resistant to obey what God says. I know everything from Him is good, so this was such a great learning about Jonah today. It's a reminder of the importance of obeying God. So much of what God wants for us is to share His love and good plans with others so they can know His love and good plans too. So, treat people with kindness and remember, you can wake up and choose a good attitude every day. That's all for today's episode. I'm gonna go out and buy more fish food, but I'll be back with another episode next week. I'll see you guys then. Which one do I wanna try?